All right. So have you ever, had that feeling where you're kind of like, man, I really want to like simplify things, like grow some of my own food, maybe raise a few chickens,
Yeah,
the homestead life?
definitely. I think a lot of folks feel that pull towards self-sufficiency.
Totally. And it turns out it doesn't have to be just a millionaire's game. We're diving into this podcast episode called Building a Homestead on a Budget, Achieving Self-Sufficiency Through Resourcefulness. And it's got some seriously good stuff in there, but we're not just going to summarize it, you know?
Yeah, I go deeper.
Exactly. We want to figure out what these ideas actually mean for you and your dream homestead.
I think what's really cool about this episode is that it kind of like debunks this myth that homesteading is only for rich people.
Right.
It all boils down to being smart and resourceful,
Right.
making the most of what you have.
For sure. And one of the things that really jumped out at me was this idea of like embracing, I think they called it minimal living conditions now so you can build a stronger foundation later.
Those are like counterintuitive, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. It's like, wait, what?
But when you think about it, our ancestors were incredibly resourceful.
Yeah.
They had to make do with less, and that built resilience,
They did what they had to do.
right? By like simplifying your lifestyle, now you're not just saving money, but you're also developing that same problem-solving mindset, that adaptability that's crucial for homesteading long-term.
Totally. So it's not just about the money. It's about building those like, homesteading muscles.
Exactly.
Even before you even break ground.
So you learn to appreciate what you have. You learn to stretch those resources.
Speaking of stretching resources, they talk a lot about keeping your monthly budget super tight. But it's not just to like hoard cash. It's about freeing up cash flow for specific projects down the road.
That's where you start to feel that shift from scarcity to like possibility.
Hmm.
Your budget becomes a tool, not a barrier.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
When you're not drowning in debt, you have the flexibility to invest in what really matters, whether that's like high-quality seeds, building materials, or even livestock.
So you're not just surviving, you're thriving.
Right.
Okay, I like that. And you know what else I think is super empowering? DIY. This episode got me so excited about all the things you can do yourself. And not just because it saves money, but
Oh, absolutely. There's such deep satisfaction that comes from mastering those essential homesteading skills.
Yeah.
Imagine like building your own chicken coop, canning your own harvest, knowing how to do basic repairs. It's not just about saving money, but it also deepens your understanding of the whole process.
you're like intimately connected.
You become more connected to your homestead.
Yeah.
And the more you DIY, the more confident you become. It's
Yeah.
like you're constantly leveling up your homesteading skill tree.
You're like earning those badges. Now, one thing I'm personally really passionate about is lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And they framed it as an investment. How does that play out specifically on a homestead?
Every skill you learn, whether it's gardening, animal husbandry, even something like carpentry, it directly feeds into your self-sufficiency. And in a world that's constantly changing, adaptability is key.
So it's like future-proofing your homestead. The more you know, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes your way.
Exactly. The episode also had some really good advice on smart shopping strategies.
Yeah.
They mentioned things like buying secondhand and hunting for discounts. For someone who's new to this, what are some good examples of how to do that well?
I think for me, the key is knowing like what you can compromise on and what you absolutely need to invest in.
Okay.
So for example, tools are often way cheaper secondhand, and they're built to last. But when it comes to things like seeds or soil amendments, quality is crucial. There, you don't want to skimp.
Totally. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of community resources. Local swap meets, online marketplaces, even just connecting with other homesteaders can lead to amazing deals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's about being resourceful, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And speaking of thinking outside the box, the episode really stressed starting small to avoid getting overwhelmed. It's so easy to jump in and want to do it all at once.
But it's like trying to plant a whole garden in a day.
Right.
You just end up exhausted and sore.
Yeah, exactly. Pacing yourself is crucial, especially when you're first starting out.
Okay, so slow and steady wins the race.
Yes. And starting small doesn't mean you're limiting your dreams. It's about building a sustainable foundation.
Yeah.
You can always adjust and expand as you gain experience and confidence. And that actually reminds me of the last key takeaway for this episode, efficient planning. They called it like the backbone of a successful homestead.
So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart. How does that translate to everyday homesteading life?
Think of it this way. Strategic planning minimizes waste, and it maximizes productivity. Whether you're mapping out your garden to maximize yield or developing a system for managing livestock, every effort should contribute to your overall vision.
It's like you're conducting an orchestra, making sure all the different parts are working together in harmony.
That's a great analogy. We've talked about embracing a simpler lifestyle, smart budgeting, the power of DIY, the importance of lifelong learning. But honestly, we've only just scratched the surface of this episode. There's so much more to uncover.
All right, so much good stuff.
So let's dive into part two. You know, as we kind of dig deeper into this whole building a homestead on a budget thing, what's really fascinating to me is this like recurring theme of perspective.
Oh, perspective. Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more. What do you mean?
It's about seeing limitations not as like roadblocks,
Yeah.
but as springboards for creativity.
Okay.
Like if money's tight, it sparks resourcefulness. A small space becomes a challenge to maximize efficiency.
Right.
Every hurdle, it's a chance to learn and adapt.
Okay, so instead of I can't, it's how can I?
Exactly. It's like this powerful mindset shift.
It is. It is.
And that shift is what fuels your success even with a tight budget.
Okay, so let's get practical here.
Yeah.
How do we actually put this mindset into action? Can you give me like a specific example?
Okay, so let's say you need building materials.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going straight to the lumber yard, why not explore some alternative?
Okay.
Like reclaimed wood from old barns pallets.
Oh, yeah.
Salvage materials from demolitions. These can be like gold mines for budget-conscious builders.
I've seen some really cool projects using like repurposed materials, and it just gives the homestead so much character.
Totally. It's unique. It's sustainable.
It's like win-win-win, right? Less waste and more unique creations and money saved.
Exactly. And this applies to so many aspects of homesteading, from finding seeds to getting creative with water and energy.
So it's about looking beyond the conventional and embracing those kind of like unconventional solutions.
Yeah. Tapping into that resourceful spirit we all have.
Okay, I love this. This is inspiring. But I imagine this kind of shift in perspective, it takes time. It's not like an overnight thing.
No, of course not. It's a journey. Unlearning old habits, embracing new ways of thinking and doing.
Yeah.
There will be bumps along the way, for sure.
For sure.
But that's all part of the process.
So how can we stay motivated and like keep that resourceful spirit alive even when things get tough? Because it's not always going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not always easy. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community is crucial. Find other homesteaders online, in person, share your experiences, learn from each other. It makes a world of difference.
It's like having a cheer squad for your homesteading journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't forget to celebrate those small victories.
Yeah.
No matter how small, that step forward is worth celebrating.
Absolutely. Got to keep that momentum going.
Yes. And remember, you're not alone. Countless others have walked this path before you, and their stories are proof that it's achievable, it's rewarding, and incredibly fulfilling.
So inspiring. Okay, so we've talked about this mindset shift, this embracing resourcefulness. Let's get a little more practical.
Yeah.
What are some specific areas where we can really like put these principles to work? Like, where do we start?
Well, one area that immediately comes to mind is food production. Growing your own food, it's like a cornerstone of homesteading, and it doesn't have to break the bank.
Okay, that's good. That's what I want to hear. I've always dreamed of having this like thriving garden just full of fresh produce.
Oh, it's such a rewarding experience. And there's so many ways to make it budget-friendly.
Okay, tell me.
Starting with saving seeds from your favorite fruits and vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
You can join local seed swaps or like exchange seeds and plants with other gardeners in your community.
Like a little community-based seed library. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. When building your garden beds, get creative use reclaimed materials like pallets or old tires. You could even try vertical gardening to maximize space and yield.
Oh, good tips. Good tips.
And of course, composting.
Oh, yeah, composting.
Essential. It's a homesteading essential.
Yeah.
It transforms your kitchen scraps and yard waste into this like nutrient-rich gold for your garden.
Turning trash to treasure.
Exactly. It's incredibly easy to set up. You can build a compost bin from pallets or just make a pile in your yard.
I'm all about it.
It's about closing the loop, creating a more sustainable system.
Okay, so gardening and composting checked off the list. What other areas can we tackle with, a budget in mind?
Well, let's talk about water conservation. Water is precious, and on a homestead, you want to use it wisely.
Yeah, of course.
Rainwater harvesting is a simple yet effective strategy.
Okay.
You just place rain barrels under your downspouts to collect water from your roof. You can then use that water to water your garden or for non-potable uses like flushing toilets.
Okay, so you're catching it right as it falls.
Yeah, it's a game changer for water conservation. And as your homestead grows, you can explore more advanced systems like gray water systems that recycle water from your sinks and showers.
Wow, taking water conservation to a whole new level. Okay.
It is. It's about thinking outside the box, maximizing those resources.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about energy efficiency, another crucial aspect of sustainable homesteading, especially if you're on a budget.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm ready. There are so many simple things you can do to reduce your energy consumption, starting with switching to LED light bulbs.
Oh, yeah.
They use significantly less energy than traditional incandescent bulbs, and they last much longer.
Already on that one. Easy switch.
Great. You can also look for ways to reduce your heating and cooling costs. Proper insulation, weather stripping, even something as simple as using curtains strategically can make a big difference.
Okay, I like it. All good tips.
Yeah. And have you thought about solar?
Oh, yeah, solar energy. I've heard it's becoming more affordable. Is that something that's worth considering for homesteaders?
Absolutely. Solar energy is a fantastic way to reduce your reliance on the grid and lower those energy bills. And with all the advancements in technology, the cost of solar panels keeps decreasing, making it more and more viable for homesteaders.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, you can start small and expand your system as needed.
Okay, good to know. I'm definitely going to look into that.
Yes, worth exploring. Remember, energy efficiency. It's an ongoing journey.
It is, yeah.
There's always something you can do to optimize your energy use and minimize that environmental impact.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so we've covered food, water, and energy. What else should we be thinking about as we continue down this budget-conscious homesteading path?
Well, let's talk about livestock. Raising animals can be such a rewarding part of homesteading.
It can.
They provide fresh eggs,
Oh,
milk, meat, even companionship. But it's important to choose livestock that suit your climate, your space, and of course your budget.
okay. So you got to be realistic.
You do.
Yeah.
So which animals are generally good choices for budget-conscious homesteaders?
Okay, lay it on me.
Chickens are often a top choice for beginners.
Yeah.
They're relatively inexpensive to purchase and care for, and they provide a steady supply of fresh eggs.
I've always wanted chickens. Fresh eggs every morning. Oh, that sounds like a dream.
It's a lovely ritual, and there's surprisingly low maintenance.
Okay.
They're great for pest control, too, and their manure, it fertilizes your garden.
Oh, some multi-purpose homestead helpers.
Mm.
I like it. What else? What other animals are good options?
Rabbits are another excellent choice, especially for small homesteads.
Okay.
They're efficient breeders and provide a sustainable source of meat.
Yeah, I've heard rabbit meat is really healthy and lean.
It is. And rabbits are relatively easy to care for. They can be housed in hutches or cages and don't require a lot of space.
Perfect if you're limited on space.
Exactly. And don't forget about goats.
Goats.
Goats are versatile animals.
They are.
They provide milk, cheese, meat, even fiber for spinning.
And goat cheese is delicious.
It is. Goat milk is often easier to digest than cow's milk. And goats are browsers, which means they're great for clearing brush and weeds.
Like eco-friendly landscapers. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm liking goats.
They can be wonderful additions to a homestead. But as with any livestock, it's important to do your research. Choose breeds that fit your needs and provide proper care and shelter.
Yeah, you have a responsibility to take care of them.
You do. This is all fantastic information. We've covered food production, water conservation, energy efficiency, even livestock. Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we embark on this budget-conscious homesteading journey?
Yeah, any final words of wisdom?
Well, I think it's important to remember that building a homestead, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and growing. There will be challenges, of course.
Oh, for sure.
But with each challenge comes an opportunity to learn and become more resilient.
Yeah, that's a really crucial reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in that romanticized version of homesteading we see online. But the reality is it takes hard work, patience, and resilience.
Absolutely. But the rewards are worth it. There's nothing quite like harvesting your own food, raising your own animals, living in harmony with nature.
So it's about embracing the challenges as part of the growth process.
It is, and celebrating those small victories along the way.
Love it.
Every seed you plant, every jar you fill, every animal you care for, it brings you closer to your dream.
What a beautiful perspective. It's about finding joy in the everyday moments of homesteading.
It is, and it's about sharing that joy with others. Homesteading is not just about self-sufficiency.
No.
It's about community connection, sharing the abundance we create.
Creating a ripple effect of positivity and sustainability. I love it.
Exactly. And that's a legacy worth building. We've covered a lot of ground in part 2.
We have so much good stuff.
Are you ready to move on to the final part of our deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's wrap things up in part 3. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into homesteading on a budget. It's been Quite a journey so far.
It has. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. And, as we've been talking about all these like practical tips and strategies, it's kind of hit me that there's something even deeper going on here.
Yeah, it's not just about like pinching pennies and making do. It's
Yeah.
about cultivating a mindset of abundance.
Oh, abundance.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Tell me more.
It's about recognizing that even with limited funds, we have so many resources available to us, like the gifts of nature, the power of community, the ingenuity of the human spirit. These are all sources of abundance.
So it's about shifting our focus from what we lack to appreciating what we already have.
Exactly. And that shift, it can be incredibly empowering. It opens us up to a whole world of possibilities.
It's like we're training ourselves to see opportunity everywhere. But how do we actually cultivate this abundance mindset? It sounds great in theory, but how do we like live it out in our everyday lives?
Well, gratitude is a great starting point. Taking time each day to appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small, it really helps to shift our perspective.
Okay, so focusing on the positive instead of dwelling on the negative.
Exactly. We also need to be mindful of our consumption habits. We're constantly bombarded with messages to buy more, have more, be more. It's easy to get sucked into that scarcity mindset.
It's like we're conditioned to believe that we're always lacking something.
Right. But when we simplify our lives, reduce our wants, and focus on what truly matters, we create space for abundance to flow in.
So it's about decluttering our minds as well as our homes.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
about being creative and resourceful with what we already have. Instead of always reaching for something new, why not challenge ourselves to repurpose, repair, reinvent?
Turning limitations into opportunities. I love that.
Exactly. And that's the magic of homesteading.
Hmm.
You know, it's about finding joy in the simple things, connecting with nature, creating a life that's both sustainable and fulfilling.
It sounds so enriching. So it's not just about the practical aspects, but also about the personal growth and fulfillment that comes with it.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach to life.
I love that. Before we wrap up, do you have any final tips for our listeners who are just starting out on their budget-conscious homesteading journey?
Well, I think patience and persistence are key. Building a homestead takes time, effort, dedication. There will be challenges along the way, but don't give up. Keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep moving forward.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that you don't have to do everything perfectly right from the start.
Yeah, no one starts out as an expert.
Embrace the imperfections. Learn from your mistakes. Celebrate your successes. Every step you take brings you closer to your dream.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. We've covered so much ground from practical strategies to like these really profound mindset shifts. And I really hope our listeners are feeling like empowered to create their own homesteads no matter what their budget looks like.
Absolutely. Remember, homesteading is a journey. Enjoy the process. Be kind to yourself and never stop learning and growing.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into building a homestead on a budget. We've learned that it's about so much more than just saving money. It's about embracing a resourceful and abundant mindset, finding joy in the simple things, and creating a life that aligns with our values. So whether you're just starting to dream or you're already knee-deep in your homesteading journey, remember that it's achievable, it's rewarding, and incredibly fulfilling. What's stopping you from taking that first step today? Until next time, happy homesteading.